We live in a time where noise is everywhere. Notifications fill our screens. Opinions flood our minds. And everywhere we look, someone is talking about what they're going to do. They're announcing their goals, broadcasting their dreams, declaring their intentions before the first brick is even laid. But here's the truth most people forget. The more you talk about your plans, the less energy you have left to do them. The more you seek attention for your ideas, the less focus you have for execution. There is a quiet power in moving in silence. There is strength in withholding. There is clarity in letting your work speak, not in words but through results. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to share every detail of your journey. You don't need applause before the performance has even begun. The people who truly succeed, the ones who rise above the noise, are not the loudest. They are the most disciplined. They are the most focused. They are the ones who value doing more than telling. In a world obsessed with attention, choosing to keep your goals to yourself is a radical act of power. Because while others are busy performing progress, you are quietly becoming unstoppable. This is not just an audiobook. It's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. It's a code of silence that leads to undeniable results. Welcome to Never Tell People What You Do. Focus in silence, win in public. You're about to discover how to build your vision privately, protect your energy, and rise so high that no one can ignore you, even if you never said a word. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Talking. Talking feels good, doesn't it? You speak your goals out loud. I'm going to start a business. I'm writing a book. I'm going to the gym every morning now. And in that moment, people nod. They encourage you. They might even applaud. Your brain lights up. It feels like progress. But here's the truth. You haven't done anything yet. The brain's dangerous shortcut. When you talk about what you plan to do, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical you get from actually achieving something. It's a cruel trick. You get rewarded for announcing something you haven't even started. The mind feels satisfied, but you haven't earned that satisfaction. You've just simulated the feeling of growth. And now, because the brain thinks it's made progress, the urgency to act slowly fades. It's like spending all your energy designing the perfect map, but never taking a single step forward. The false productivity trap. Today's culture confuses visibility with value. You see people sharing screenshots of their calendars, pictures of notebooks filled with tasks, morning routines posted online. The same 5 productivity quotes recycled on every platform. It looks like work, but often it's just performance. Productivity is not the same as progress. Planning is not building. Talking is not doing. Posting is not progressing. The illusion of talking is dangerous because it gives you credit you haven't earned, and it steals the fuel you need to truly get started. The dangerous audience effect. When you say your goals out loud, especially online, you create an audience. And now, suddenly, you're no longer working for the goal itself. You're working for approval. You're chasing applause instead of mastery. And here's what happens. The fear of judgment grows. You second guess. You hesitate. You start shaping your actions around how others perceive them, not around what actually works. And worst of all, now you feel pressure to deliver on something you haven't even figured out yet. That pressure becomes paralyzing. Real builders don't boast, they build. Think of the people you admire most. The ones who built something massive, something meaningful. Did they announce every step on the way up? Or did they disappear for months, maybe years, and then emerge with something undeniable? Steve Jobs didn't tweet about building the iPhone. Kobe Bryant didn't live stream his 4 a.m. training sessions. Writers, inventors, founders, athletes, the ones who go deep rarely talk about what they're doing. They don't need to. Their work says it all. Keep the flame inside. There's a reason ancient warriors trained in silence. There's a reason monks take vows of quiet. There's a reason why every serious artist, athlete, or creator eventually disappears from the noise. Because the deeper you go into your craft, the less you need to explain it. Silence keeps the fire alive. Talking too much? It exposes the flame to wind. It flickers. Sometimes it goes out entirely. Guard your energy. Protect your intention. Let the ambition burn quietly. Don't let noise dilute it. Let your results speak. The world doesn't need more people announcing their plans. It needs more people who deliver quietly, who grind in the dark, who don't ask for attention, but command it through their results. So next time you feel the urge to tell someone what you're planning, don't. Write it down. Then do it. Let the proof be in your output, not your promises. Don't just look busy. Be productive. Don't talk about it. Be about it. And remember, every second you spend explaining your dream is a second you could have spent building it. Chapter 2, The Psychology of Silence. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. In a world that rewards noise, distraction, and constant sharing, choosing silence is a quiet rebellion. But silence is more than the absence of speech. It's the presence of focus. It's the environment where clarity thrives, where you finally hear your own voice, not the world's opinions, not their doubts, not their noise. Let me tell you something powerful. Silence is the birthplace of inner authority. 1. The power of not broadcasting. Have you ever noticed how people constantly talk about what they're going to do? I'm about to launch this. I'm working on something big. Just wait, next year it's over for everybody. But that's all they do, talk. Their energy goes into presentation, not preparation. Into building hype, not habits. See, when you constantly announce your goals, your mind starts to believe you've already accomplished them. You're feeding your ego, not your execution. And worst of all, you become addicted to talking instead of transforming. True silence isn't passive, it's protective. It protects your energy, your ideas, your process, because not everyone deserves a front row seat to your evolution. 2. Psychological peace equals performance power. Silence gives you a psychological edge. Here's why. When you stop explaining yourself to people, when you stop seeking permission, when you stop updating the world on your every step, you create mental bandwidth. You free yourself from the emotional burden of performing for others. You get back the most valuable resource on earth. Your attention. No second guessing. No wasted effort trying to please, impress, or compete. Just you, in flow. Creating, sharpening, becoming. This is where peak performance lives. Not in the spotlight, but in the lab, the gym, the studio, the quiet grind that no one claps for. You can't build greatness in a crowd. You build it in isolation, then share the final product with confidence. 3. Move in silence, strike with clarity. There's something deeply unsettling to others when someone moves with quiet intensity. No bragging. No boasting. Just relentless, consistent movement. Why? Because silence creates uncertainty. People can't predict you. They can't measure you. They can't categorize you. And when they can't figure you out, they watch more closely. That's when silence becomes a kind of power. Not loud, not flashy, but magnetic. You don't have to sell people on who you are. Your results, your discipline, your outcomes will do all the talking. 4. You don't owe your timeline to anyone. Let this sink in. You don't owe the world an update. You don't owe your friends an explanation. You don't owe your family a timeline. Your journey is yours. And sometimes silence is the only way to keep it sacred. Some people won't understand your ambition. Some will resent it. Some will try to rush your progress or discourage your path. But when you keep your moves quiet, you give yourself room to change direction, fail privately, recalibrate, and grow authentically, without outside pressure or judgment. Growth requires freedom. Silence creates that freedom. 5. When silence becomes sacred, there's a beauty in doing hard things with no applause. In showing up for yourself when no one else sees. In saying nothing, while doing everything. That's when silence becomes sacred. A ritual. A rhythm. A source of identity. You're no longer chasing validation. You're living with intention. You're not showing the world your process, because you're too focused on mastering it. And when the world does finally see you, they'll realize you didn't just arrive. You built yourself in the shadows. So remember this. Let them underestimate you. Let them assume you've disappeared. Let them think nothing's happening. Because when the moment comes, when you emerge from the silence, when your results step into the light, they won't just hear about it. They'll feel it. Chapter 3, Envy, Doubt, and the Energy Vampires. Let's be honest. Silence isn't just about focus. Sometimes, it's about self-preservation. Because not everyone in your life is rooting for your success. Some people will cheer when you start, but secretly hope you'll fail before you finish. Others will pretend to support you. But every time you share your next step, they'll meet it with sarcasm, skepticism, or subtle mockery. They'll say things like, "Wow, that's ambitious. That's not really you though. You sure you're qualified for that?" They'll question your timing, your skills, your dreams. Not out of concern, but out of fear. Fear that you'll become something they never had the courage to pursue. These people aren't always obvious. They can be coworkers, family, old friends, even a romantic partner. They might not insult you directly. They might not even know they're doing it. But deep down they recognize something shifting in you, and that makes them uncomfortable. Why? Because your growth threatens their comfort zone. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your ambition shines a light on the dreams they abandoned. This is where you meet the energy vampires. They don't take your money. They don't take your time. They take your focus, your belief, your quiet momentum. They do it through doubt, distraction, discouragement, and worst of all, through comparison. You tell them about your business idea, and they tell you about a friend who failed. You tell them you're going to the gym daily, and they joke about how long that'll last. One sentence, one smirk, one rolled eye, and suddenly you feel smaller, less certain, less alive. They didn't kill your dream. They just poked enough holes in it that it started to deflate. This is why you protect your vision. Because the early stages of anything great are fragile. A seed doesn't need criticism. It needs silence, soil, time. You don't plant something and then dig it up every week to show people it's growing. You protect it, you water it, you wait, and when the time is right, it blooms, and no one can deny what it's become. So ask yourself, who do you share your energy with? Who do you let into your vision? Some people deserve your presence, but not your plans. Some people should see your results, but never hear your strategies. It's not about being secretive. It's about being strategic. You are not obligated to explain yourself to people who haven't earned your trust. You do not need to justify your goals to people who are content standing still. You don't owe your dreams to people who would only turn them into jokes. The truth is, the more you grow, the quieter you'll become, because you'll realize the power of undisturbed momentum. Keep your vision close. Protect your mind like a sacred space. Let your silence be your fortress. And when the time comes, let your work speak so loudly that the same people who doubted you have no choice but to applaud. Or stay silent. Either way, you win. Chapter 4. Mastery in the Dark. Mastery doesn't begin on a stage. It begins in the shadows. When the crowd is gone. When the applause is silent. When it's just you, your weaknesses, and the uncomfortable truth of how far you still have to go. This is the dark. Not a place of fear, but a place of formation. It's where real greatness is born. Let me tell you something that most won't. Every master you admire, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the artist, the visionary, they didn't become who they are in front of anyone. They became it alone. In obscurity. In repetition. In silence. The unseen hours. There is a myth we've been fed, that greatness happens in the spotlight. But that's only where it's revealed. The truth? Greatness is built in the unseen hours. The early mornings when the alarm goes off and the bed feels warm, but the mission is louder. The late nights when you're reviewing the details no one else cares about. The endless practice of small skills that seem meaningless to others. But you know they compound. Mastery isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's tedious. It's lonely. It's quiet. But that's the price. And the question is, are you willing to pay it? Because while others are chasing attention, you're chasing precision. They want to look ready. You want to be ready. Failure is the blueprint. Most people fear the dark because it's where their flaws are exposed. But here's the truth, that's where the real growth lives. In the silence, you confront your weaknesses. You watch yourself miss the shot, mess up the code, forget the line, stumble through the reps. And that's exactly what you need. Every stumble becomes data. Every mistake becomes a brick. Every failure is a step forward, if you choose to stay in the fight. The dark doesn't destroy you. It refines you. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to take a punch and still move forward. Nobody cares. Yet, in the beginning no one is watching. And that's a gift, because in those early moments, you have the space to fail. You have the room to experiment, to try, to fall, to evolve. There is no audience, no judgment, no noise, just you and the craft. This is where you shape your voice. This is where you find your rhythm. This is where you develop ownership over your progress, not to impress anyone but because you owe it to yourself. And one day when the spotlight does find you, you won't be caught off guard. You won't be pretending, because you've already become what they're just now noticing. The gift of obsession. To master something, you must be willing to do it for its own sake. Not for praise, not for status, not for money, but for the love of the process. Obsession is not a dirty word when it's pointed in the right direction. Obsession creates elite skill. Obsession ignores distractions. Obsession says, I will stay here until this is right even if no one else is watching. And that is your edge. Because most people quit when it's boring. They quit when it's hard. They quit when no one claps. But you dig in. You get quiet. And you keep building. Let the light find you. You don't need to chase attention. Attention will find you when you're ready. When you've poured so much into your craft that it can't be ignored. When your product, your performance, your presence is so undeniably excellent that people are drawn to it, magnetically. By then you won't be trying to impress anyone. Because the work will speak for itself. You won't need to say, "Look at me." People will say, "Who is that?" Because the dark did something for you. It stripped away the noise. It taught you to focus, to refine, to prepare. So that when the world finally sees you, they're not seeing a beginner. They're witnessing a master. So go ahead. Stay in the dark a little longer. Sharpen your blade where no one can see. Fall in love with the parts no one claps for. Because if you do this right, there will come a time, not today, maybe not tomorrow. So, when the lights come on, the doors open, and the world finally meets the version of you that was forged in silence. And when that moment comes, they'll think it happened overnight. But you'll know the truth. It happened in the dark. Chapter 5. Winning in public without saying a word. There's a strange kind of power in being underestimated. Let them think you're average. Let them assume you've been quiet because you're not doing anything important. Let them scroll past you, with no idea of the empire you've been quietly building. You see, most people reveal their intentions too early. They broadcast their goals. They post their progress. They crave recognition before they've earned results. But not you. You chose the other path. The harder one. The quieter one. You kept your head down when others were showing off. You stayed home while they partied. You trained while they talked. You studied while they slept. They didn't see the nights you cried alone wondering if it was all worth it. They didn't see the failures, the rejections, the self-doubt you had to crawl through just to keep going. They didn't see the pain, the pressure, the patience. And that's the point. You didn't do it for them. You did it for the future you. For the version of yourself who refuses to live an average life. Who wants something real. Something earned. And now the tide has turned. They're starting to notice. Your glow is different. Your energy has changed. Your presence now speaks louder than your words ever did. They don't ask, "What are you working on?" They ask, "How did you do that?" Because now the evidence is in your walk. Your confidence. Your discipline. Your results. You no longer need to explain yourself. The results are your resume. The transformation is your testimonial. The silence was your strategy. And the win is your reveal. You're not just succeeding. You're making it look effortless. But they'll never understand how much it cost you. Let them see the version of you that emerged from the fire. Not the struggle. Not the suffering. Not the endless nights you spent questioning everything. Because the world doesn't deserve access to your process. Only your product. And now, you're that product. Refined. Focused. Relentless. Unstoppable. So keep moving with calm confidence. Keep speaking less and doing more. Keep showing up even when no one's clapping. Because when you win in public after grinding in private, there's nothing left to prove. Only everything left to become. And while they're still talking, you're still building. Your silence was never empty. It was loaded with intent. And now it echoes louder than any words ever could. So remember this. You don't need to broadcast your every move. You don't need to seek validation at every step. You don't need permission to become great. Focus in silence. Build in silence. Suffer in silence if you must. But when the time comes, win in public. And let the world catch up to what you've already become.